This is the news at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Anne Waudo.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, presidential spokesman Daniel Bwala says President Tinubu will soon meet with former U.S. President Donald Trump to address alleged Christian genocide claims in Nigeria. Senior advocate of Nigeria, Wahab Shitu, has asked President Tinubu and ruling elite to personally engage President Trump with AU leaders diplomatically to prevent U.S. military action. The Nigerian Veterinary Medical Association warns that zoonotic disease causes around 2.7 million deaths globally each year, declares a state of emergency in Nigeria's abattoirs over health risks. And 32-year-old man is being treated as the only suspect in a stabbing attack that occurred on board in Doncaster London train. Tonight, we begin with reactions trailing President Donald Trump's threat to send U.S. forces into Nigeria with guns blazing. And that's if Africa's most populous nation, Nigeria, fails to stop what he describes as the killing of Christians by Islamic militants. Responding to the comments, President Bola Tinubu dismissed the U.S. leader's claim of a mass slaughter of Christians in Nigeria, insisting that portraying the country as religiously intolerant does not reflect the reality. Further clarifying the government's stance, the special advisor to the president in policy communication, Daniel Bwala, said in a statement posted on his X handle that President Tinubu will soon meet with President Trump to discuss the allegations of Christian genocide in Nigeria. And according to Mr. Bwala, the planned meeting will focus on counter-terrorism cooperation and addressing misconceptions about the nature of terrorist attacks in the country. President Trump has assisted Nigeria a lot by authorizing the sale of arms, and President Tinubu will utilize that opportunity effectively in the fight against terrorism with massive results to show for it. And as for the differences as to whether terrorists in Nigeria target only Christians of all faiths, those will be discussed and resolved by both leaders when they meet in the coming days, either in the White House or at the State House, end of quote. Mr. Trump's comments are coming amid week-long accusations by U.S. lawmaker Riley Moore, who alleged systematic persecution and slaughter of Christians in Nigeria, a claim the federal government has repeatedly denied. And also reacting to the U.S. president's threats, a special advisor on information and strategy to the president, Bayo Ononuga, who says the Nigerian leader is well ahead of what the spokesman describes as an orchestrated game unfolding in America following renewed U.S. pressure over alleged persecution of Christians in Nigeria. Reacting in a post on his X handle today, Mr. Ononuga says that President Tinubu had anticipated the growing international attention on Nigeria's security situation and had already issued strong directives to the nation's service chiefs. And according to him, President Bola Tinubu was well ahead of the orchestrated game unfolding as he told the new service chiefs on Thursday what Nigerians expect of them, and that is no more excuses. Nigerians want results. The president further asked the military to deploy technology and innovation in tackling insurgency, vowing to provide full support to ensure results. The governor of Anambra State, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, believes the recent threats by the United States president should not be anything to worry about, noting that it will end in conversation under international law. Speaking during the media chat in Awka, the Anambra State capital, Professor Soludo explains that the change and the challenge is wider than religious connotations.
This conversation about banditry and killings and so on requires deeper national conversation and introspection. In this part of the world, Eastern Bloc, where 90-something% Christians, and the insurgents that were first here and around the southeast, it's Christians and Christians. It's the people in the bushes and so on, killing, kidnapping others. They have come, Christian, some bear the name Christian, Emmanuel, Peter, James, John, and so on and so forth. So it's much wider than this categorization of, Christian, Muslim.
Ultimately, mitigating President Trump's military action threat rests on government, even if the terrorist atrocities precede this government and its predecessors. But that's the view of the immediate past president of the Christian Association of Nigeria, His Eminence, Reverend Dr. Samson Olashipo Ayokunle. Speaking at the special edition of Channels Television's Inside Sources, Reverend Ayokunle says the government must find a way to wriggle out of this potentially troubling situation.
If you have created the loophole, don't blame another person. If massive killing has not been going on for the past 16 years in Nigeria, unstopping, will America have opportunity of saying they want to come in? Is America accusing us or about to take action on what is not happening in Nigeria? Did they call the attack of the Islamic militants? They didn't. So that to me, that I've read that in the newspaper, is totally unreasonable. If you have done logic in the school, in the university, you know that it's not logical. Is America talking out of nothing? Did we not give America the opportunity or a loophole to explore? What we are saying now is that we can close all the loophole. Don't let us allow that to be there again. Let those in charge act promptly and quickly. The killing that you think is local, with the statement of the American president, it means that it has gone international. And the body of responsibility is now on our government because the whole eyes are watching them. Is there going to be, and I know this government did not cause it. And let me also say, without being political, you know me, the way I talk.
Yes.
This government didn't cause it. This government is not partial about treatment of Christians and Muslims. They have been trying as much as humanly possible to have a balance. But for how long will the terrorists continue to expand and be killing people? The souls of the people they are killing matter a lot. And governments should wake up, do the needful. If they need help from outside, don't let them request for it. We should not allow the foreign nations to force their way into our country. If we have fired them, we have fired machinery to come and help us, there will be an agreement we sign with them on when they will come and when they will leave. Is for what Nigerians want is that put an end to this matter. If you don't put an end to this matter, it will further divide this nation. Not only along religious lines, it may also divide us along ethnic lines and also hamper our economic development. All the efforts of government will may be in vain if the nation is insecure. If American government is saying a nation is insecure, which foreign investor will be able to come here and say the nation is secure? And don't we know that we have American embassy here? They are monitoring everything. They are not lazy people. They are hardworking. They are monitoring everything. They are giving report.
Okay.
Let our government in humility reach out to the government of America. Making peace is less costly than allying war.
For more on this, please watch Inside Sources with Laolu Akode at 11 p.m. tonight. And as for the senior advocate of Nigeria and academic Dr. Wahab Shitu, he's asking the president and the ruling elite to immediately engage the U.S. president in democratic and diplomatic manner led personally by President Bola Tinubu in collaboration with AU heads of government to forestall the breakout of U.S. war against Nigeria. Speaking earlier today with my colleague Olumide Macaulay on Newstrack, the senior advocate of Nigeria says that President Tinubu should urgently enlist the support of the AU and the Commonwealth, including other world leaders, to plead Nigeria's case with President Trump.
I think this is the time for us as Nigerians to unite around the leadership to ensure that this does not happen. We have to draw lessons from what has happened in Libya, what has happened in Syria, Gaza, and some other areas like that. The level of destruction that can occur is unimaginable. So I do not want the Nigerian authorities to take this U.S. president's threat lightly. We should take it very seriously, very, very seriously. And then we should also not employ combative approach. We know the strength of the U.S. and in global affairs. We know the strength of their military. So I think what we should do is to embrace quiet, strategic, proactive diplomacy. Nigeria, and I've read the comment of the president. Very good. But it
What's your reaction to his?
It does not go far enough. I think the president should also provide detailed particulars to say that this so-called attacks on Christians, it's not Christians alone that are subject to attack, even by the Boko Haram insurgents. If you look at what's going on in the north, all categories of people are under attack. Muslims, Christians, and all categories of Nigeria.
So that statement from the president should have been more detailed?
More detailed. But it can also go beyond that.
Okay.
Because I'm asking for a diplomatic action. You have the U.S. ambassador. He can be summoned and briefed to Nigeria. And then we should also enlist the cooperation of the ECOWAS, cooperation of the AU, cooperation of the Commonwealth, cooperation of the UN Security Council, right, cooperation of the UN Secretary General, and very, very credible opinion leaders around the world to forestall what is like. So a strategic, a deliberate, diplomatic action ought to be taken. Again, across bilateral levels, multilateral levels, and I'm also looking for a strategic cooperation approach that will say like a joint US-Nigeria mission to come and evaluate what is going on. Through statistics. You cannot afford a possible or a probable US military action against Nigeria. And so the emphasis now should be security, security, security. Beyond that, we should put our house in order.
Which begs the question, yes. Do you think that the US president's threat exposes Nigeria's security agencies to claims of failure of their constitutional duty to protect citizens?
No, I don't think anything Nigeria will say the military has been docile. No. For nearly 10, 15, 12 years now, the military has been deployed repeatedly to all these areas. But are these efforts enough? We can say they are not enough. We need to do more. A lot of soldiers at the level of the military have lost their lives, trying to combat this insurgency. There's also an element of compromise by some of the, in these operations. So I think right now it's for us to be much more, yes, elements in Nigeria across ethnicities, across religions are exposed to attack, particularly in the northeast, but not like targeting Christians like that. And then we look at, to say in Nigeria, it's too general an approach. If you look at the southwest, southeast, and some other places, there's no such complaints. And then even in the north, both Christians and Muslims are subject to attack. And the government is making efforts to combat. But these efforts are not enough. But the most important thing is for government today to embrace the deliberate domestic communication and unity. Nigerians will unite. This is not the time to play politics with what is going on. Okay. Unite around the president, unite around the ruling elite across, religion, across ethnicities, across, levels of government, to see that this is an existential, threat against Nigeria. And then we should engage in we should be speaking the language of peace, the language of communication, the language of proactive, diplomacy.
In part two, after the break, the Nigeria Veterinary Medical Association warns that zoonotic diseases cause around 2.7 million deaths globally each year, declares a state of emergency in Nigerian abattoirs over health risks. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. Presidential spokesman Daniel Buala says President Tinubu will soon meet with President Donald Trump to address alleged Christian genocide claims in Nigeria. The senior advocate of Nigeria, Wahab Shitu, urges President Tinubu and ruling elite to personally engage President Trump with AU leaders diplomatically to prevent U.S. military action. The Nigeria Veterinary Medical Association warns that zoonotic diseases cause around 2.7 million deaths globally, declares a state of emergency in Nigerian abattoirs over health risks. The Nigeria Veterinary Medical Association of Nigeria has already revealed that zoonotic diseases are responsible for approximately 2.7 million deaths worldwide every year. The association stated this during its 61st annual general meeting held in Jalingo, the Taraba state capital. It also declared a state of emergency on all abattoirs across Nigeria in view of its health implications and lack of veterinarians in these abattoirs.
It is the 61st Congress of the Nigeria Veterinary Medical Association as veterinarians from across Nigeria and beyond, policymakers, industry leaders and development partners converge on Taraba State to deliberate on the critical nexus between animal health, food security and national security. With Nigeria having over 400 million livestock, veterinarians are concerned that 66% of infectious diseases are of animal origin, especially zoonosis that claims over 2.7 million lives globally every year.
We have prayers.
At this Congress, the association is seeking extension of 65 years retirement age for veterinarians, domestication of the Federal Ministry of Livestock Development across states, and the declaration of state of emergency on all abattoirs across Nigeria, among others.
Globally speaking, the zoonotic disease, which are diseases transmitted between animals and humans, claim 2.7 million lives every year globally. And antimicrobial resistance looms as one of the gravest health threats of the future, and it is predicted that this will cause 39 million deaths in 2050 if unchecked.
The Minister of Livestock Development is represented at the Congress, and he speaks on the challenges confronting the livestock sector of the country. Just as the Inspector General of Police, also represented, says he has approved the establishment of the Nigeria Police Livestock Rangers Unit.
Strategic areas such as ranch development, breed improvement, veterinary public health, and the modernization of disease surveillance systems have been identified by the ministry. But central to this initiative are the veterinarians.
The Inspector General of Police has approved the establishment of the Nigeria Police Livestock Ranger Unit, which is a specialized unit aimed at bolstering livestock security and supporting rural farmers, especially to ensure that our herders and farmers go to their farms safely.
Governor Abu Kafis, represented by the Speaker of the Taraba State House of Assembly, says his administration will ensure that veterinary services in the state are improved and public health enhanced.
He has put on ground mechanisms to ensure that there is peaceful coexistence between herders and farmers. Because without that, there is no way that you can expect the best from the veterinary services.
The Nigeria Veterinary Medicine Association is equally appealing for urgent inclusion of veterinarians in the Nigeria Emergency Preparedness Response Team and NEMA, considering the zoonotic implication during natural disasters, as they are sure of positioning the country to be a global leader in animal and protein exports.
Nigeria is facing one of the world's worst food crises, with over 31 million people experiencing acute hunger in the year 2025. And the warning was issued by a coalition of international non-governmental organizations during the media briefing to mark the 16th Africa Food Security and Nutrition Day in Abuja. The coalition states that millions of children under 5 and pregnant women are at risk of severe malnutrition, with many of them facing death. Our correspondent Benny Ark reports.
Of the Nigerian International Non-Governmental Organizations Forum are holding this high-level press briefing to mark the 16th African Food Security and Nutrition Day, with a special focus on Nigeria's growing food and nutrition crisis. The coalition includes Save the Children, Doctors Without Borders, Plan International, Action Against Hunger, among others. According to the latest Integrated Food Security Phase classification, 5.4 million children suffer acute malnutrition and 1.2 million need immediate life-saving treatment. The data adds that about 96,000 children in 6 northern states risk dying from acute malnutrition. According to the World Food Programme, over 31 million Nigerians face acute food insecurity in 2025, making it the largest crisis globally.
We're not presenting new data.
Humanitarian groups warn that Nigeria is at a tipping point in its fight against hunger and malnutrition.
As members of the humanitarian country team, we also have agreed with the UN and other members that we all need to be following all channels that we can to raise attention to the seriousness of the situation across the country. So many of the messages that we are sharing with you today are also messages that you'll be hearing from the United Nations, from the humanitarian coordinator, and from others. We are all trying to raise our voices to bring attention to the seriousness of the situation.
No child should die from any preventable cause, such as hunger, malnutrition, or any illness.
The groups call for increased funding to boost funding for nutrition programs, support local fortified food production, and protect vulnerable women and children.
As humanitarian and development agencies, we are calling on government, donors, friends of Nigeria and partners to please deliberately make funds available for life-saving nutrition commodities like the ready-to-use therapeutic food and therapeutic milk, locally produced and proven to save lives. We are asking that there be stronger political commitment and policy enforcement to treat food and nutrition security as a fundamental human right.
As Nigeria marks Africa Food Security and Nutrition Day, the message is clear. No child should die of hunger. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. Benny Ark, Channels Television News.
Let's turn our attention to politics now. The All Progressives Congress, the APC in Zamfara State, has unanimously endorsed President Bola Tinubu for a second term in office ahead of the general election come 2027. The endorsement was made during a stakeholders meeting of the party held in Talata Mafara, headquarters of Talata Mafara local government area of Zamfara State.
Gathered here in this hall are stakeholders of the All Progressives Congress from across the 14 local government areas of Zamfara State.
Acceptance of our people here.
The endorsements led by a former governor and now senator representing Zamfara West Senatorial District, Abdulaziz Yari, came during a political gathering aimed at uniting the party ahead of the 2027 general elections. Senator Yeri describes President Tinubu as the most capable leader for Nigeria, citing the successes recorded under his administration in the past 2 years as a testament to his leadership and reform agenda.
Any success recorded is just because we are working together. And working together in the heart, working together in the mind, and working together physically to ensure success. And by God's grace, what I said, my assumptions in 2023, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, by grace of God, he win his opposition in Zamfara with about 114,000 votes. So it's my calculation, and many of us here. Now, by God's grace, election of Ghana, we will win with over 5,000. So, but we know what happened. So that's why I called them that we can't continue to be opposition in the state and presenting National Assembly, presenting president. So therefore, I urge all of them that let us come together, ensure that we work for APC, and we work for every candidate presented by our party, ranging from councillor down to president.
APC supporters across Zamfara State and the nation are admonished to remain united, resolute, and committed to ensuring the president's re-election in 2027.
Those that agree our sole candidate of APC come 2027 should be Alhaji Dr. Bola Asuaju Ahmed as a sole candidate of APC on 2027 general election should say aye. Those that agree should say aye. Akwai wanda bai yadda ba. Saboda haka, alhamdulillah, in APC, we now done the first step.
As the 2027 elections draw closer, the Zamfara State APC leadership is appealing to members to begin grassroots mobilization and ensure that the party remains the preferred choice of the people at all levels.
Just 4 days after the resumption of train services, the Warri-Takwe train has derailed near Abo in Delta State. In a statement, the Nigerian Railway Corporation (NRC) confirmed that 2 of the train's 7 coaches went off the tracks in Abo. Preliminary findings suggest the incident may have resulted from suspected track vandalism. The NRC has assured passengers that everyone on board was safely evacuated with no casualty or injuries reported. The corporation has added that its recovery team and security personnel have been on site since last night to restore normal operations. As a safety measure, train services along the corridor have been temporarily suspended pending a full security and infrastructure audit. And still ahead on the news at 10, a 32-year-old man is being treated as the only suspect in a stabbing attack that occurred on board a London train. Please join us again.
Stay connected to the world with Channels TV Podcast and get all the trending stories. Simply log on to channelstv.com. Click on podcast, select the program of your choice, and listen. Our podcast is available on Apple, Google, and Spotify. Tap the expertise you trust. Touch the stories that touch you. Anytime, anywhere.
Welcome back. You're still watching the news at 10 on Channels Television. Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has said that his administration is committed to working with the United States government and international community to deepen understanding and cooperation, all to protect communities of all faiths. And this statement is coming at a time when many are concerned about the position and posture of the United States regarding alleged religious killings by terrorists operating in Nigeria. But the question that is now on the lips of many Nigerians is, what is the future of Nigeria's relationship with the United States of America? So tonight, Babajide Ogunsowo, who is the founder of Leadership by Data and Channels Television's chief data analyst, is here to share more facts and vital insight on the recent comments made by President Donald Trump about Nigeria. Thank you very much, Babajide, for joining us on the News at 10.
Good evening, Anne.
And now, what led to the remarks President Donald Trump made about the security situation in Nigeria, and where do things go from here?
So first is that 8-letter word, evidence. If you look at that tweet, you clearly see that the United States Department, the Director of National Intelligence also jumped on that message from the United States President. So what we clearly see is that they are talking about evidence, especially evidence from the United States Commission on International Freedom and Rights. So they say they have evidence that this is going on. However, the point is, like you said, how did we get here? And we got here because of 3 reasons. First is our perception of value, with reference to the United States, and our perception of value in the eyes of the United States is significantly weaker. And that brings us to the second point, which is because our perception of value is weaker, we come to the negotiating table with very little to negotiate with. And the third, and perhaps what is clear now, is the United States and Nigeria are not allies. You do not threaten an ally like the way the United States President has done. So what is clear is our perception of value is weaker. At the negotiating table, we are weaker, and the United States and Nigeria, we can have so many things in common, but this message is coming from the United States President makes it clear that we are not allies. Now, the point is, should we be surprised that all of this is happening? The answer is no. Going by history, if we had been following and consistently what the United States Commission on International Freedom had been putting out, they had always wanted Nigeria to be put on that list of countries where they are concerned about. And if you take a look at how this has all started, even from when President Tinubu came in, we look at the history of their comments, we clearly see that the United States Commission for International Religious Freedom always wanted. In 2023, they had released a report on ethno-nationalism and religious freedom, asking the United States Department of Security to put Nigeria on that list. 2024 as well, they had called for a congressional hearing asking the State Department not to fail to designate Nigeria and India as countries of particular concern. Same in 2024, they felt that the State Department, the United States Department, was not doing that they had requested it to do, to put Nigeria on the state of countries of concern. And this year, their annual report as well on religious freedom, they had asked the United States Department of State to again put Nigeria on the list of countries of particular concern. So let's also be very clear, Anne. This is not the first time Nigeria is coming on the list of countries of particular concern. In 2020, Donald Trump put Nigeria on that list, countries of particular concern. 2021, Biden took us out of that list. Now 2025, we are back on the list. Again, if you look at the 2 times we came on that list, it was Donald Trump that was leading the calls for that. So it's really not a surprise.
So now that Nigeria has been put on that list of countries of particular concern, what is the implication?
Look at the 13 countries, now it was 12 before with Nigeria, 13 countries on the list of countries of particular concern. You can clearly see there are some interesting things. First is concern. You can clearly see there are some interesting things. First is 9 out of these 13 countries are in the Asian region. 2 of these countries are in Northern America. 2 of these countries, Africa, Nigeria, and Eritrea. But don't forget, Eritrea's population is less than 5 million. So when we're talking about countries of particular concern in Africa, really, Nigeria is really the major country from Africa on that list. But what a lot of people are concerned about, and why they feel that this list of countries of concern perhaps might also be really political, is that none of the 32 countries that are in NATO are on this list. You know that North African Treaty Organization that really are the United States allies. So none of the allies, none of the NATO member countries, 32 of them, not one is on this list of countries of concern. So the question is, how realistic and how accurate is this country of list? So is this country of list of countries of particular concern, is it more political or is it factual? And based on some of these concerns that no NATO member country is on this list, it seems that this list is really political than factual.
All right. So President Donald Trump made a comment which is more of a threat, maybe some remarks about considering U.S. military action. Is this a realistic thing? Is it even possible for the U.S. government to come into Nigeria in that forum?
Just before we look at that, we're talking about some of the implications of this. One other considerable implication as well is if you look at the investment trend, number of investments that are coming into Nigeria relative to, especially from the United States, we see a declining trend from the United States. And if you take a look at that picture, it allows us to clearly understand that the United States really is less interested in investing in Nigeria. Look at that period, 2015 to 2019. You can clearly see on an average, 20% of all capital that was coming into the United States. 2015, as high as 25% of all capital coming into Nigeria came from the United States. As of 2020, still 20%. Look at what has happened. The truth is, anything is possible, especially because the Director of National Intelligence in the United States, Tulsi Gabbard, the Secretary of State for War, Pete Hegseth, is also been commenting on this. The Vice President has been commenting on this from the United States. However, looking at the patterns and the trends from the tweets from Donald Trump, is it likely to happen? The evidence shows that it is not likely to happen. What has really happened is from the president, from the United States President's communication, it has generated a lot of views. And so looking at the White House, the statement from the White House, when that post was made till today, over 10 million persons have viewed that statement from the White House. The Nigerian president has put out a message. However, that message has gotten less than 5 million views. So what we see is because the views from the United States of all, I think what President Tinubu has said is very clear. And if you take a look at his statement that he had made, is religious freedom and tolerance have been a core tenet of our collective identity and shall always remain so. I think that is right. The new service chiefs have jumped into the fire as well. Less than 48 hours since they've gotten into office, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Oluyede, has also made a comment on behalf of all service chiefs on their position, subtle though. And if you take a look at his own position as well, it is clear, especially saying that Nigeria is not at war with Christians and we will never be. This is not a war of religion. This is a war for peace, so that Christians and Muslims can live, worship, and prosper together in one Nigeria. So, Anne, what we now need to do going forward is the President of the United States comments are based on what they classify as their evidence. What we now need to do and what the government needs to do and all the military chiefs and all institutions have to do is we now need to be more evidence-driven. So they provided their evidence. We should now provide our evidence that none of this
health issues as one of the non-communicable diseases the government is tackling. He called for the strengthening of extended family life structure, which could help lighten the weight of mental health issues. Our health correspondent, Yomi Otaibe, reports.
Family, friends, business associates, and other well-wishers turn out in a relaxed atmosphere to celebrate a foreign currency trader, real estate developer, author, and now a mental health advocate, Mr. Femi Fowora, who triumphantly emerged from the shadows of a mental health challenge, depression, which is a mood disorder characterized by persistent sadness. The gathering, which had in attendance Nigeria's Minister of State for Health, Dr. Isiaq Salako, is also for the unveiling of Mr. Fowora's book, The Weight of Air, Surviving the Invincible Storm. It chronicles the battles he faced.
Virtually every family is affected.
Highlighting the burden of mental health challenges, a professor of psychiatry, Olayinka Omigbodun, who also shared her past experience with stress-induced anxiety, notes that 1 in 8 people globally have a form of mental health challenge.
Usually when there's a mental disorder, there's distress and impairment, and it affects personal relationships, it affects the family, the social functioning, affects education if they're in school, it affects their ability to be productive at work, and other important areas of functioning.
A very, very difficult thing to do.
Congratulating Mr. Fowora on the successful launch of his book, the Minister of State for Health advises Nigerians to be a support system for one another, even as the government continues to do its best in addressing the health needs of the people.
And that is why one of the very, very bill that the president signed when he assumed office is the Mental Health Act, which elaborately dealt with how to address the mental health of Nigerians. We have since created a desk. We are on our way to creating a mental health department. We are strengthening our psychiatric hospitals. We have integrated mental health issues into the primary health care.
Sharing his experience, the man who was at the center of the storm traced the genesis of the crisis.
This episode began sometime in 2017. Someone came into my house in London and knocked me down, but I wasn't dead. Somehow I managed to crawl out of my sofa in London and said, Femi, okay, what do you do? Toolbox, what do you do? What do you do?
That attack triggered a tsunami of sadness and solitude for the next 4.5 years. However, it didn't stay down. He treated depression like war, and he won.
I used the best resources that I could find. Therapy, medication, structure, music, faith, and purpose.
Mr. Fowora acknowledges his strong pillars of support, from his wife, Funlola Fowora, to his children, extended family members, friends, and his medical team. They, in turn, praise him for his resilience.
Depression is like a kind of subtle enemy that basically is moving around the boundaries of human existence. And he had to resist it with his willpower, because the basis of human character is willpower. And there was a duel for a long time. Sometimes he appeared as if he was losing. Sometimes it appeared the other way. But ultimately, the book he has written today is evidence of his victory.
I am so proud. It's unbelievable how open he is about this. In our generation, it's not a thing to be talked about that you have a mental health issue.
I'm so thankful for my father for being able to so eloquently put his words out there and voice how he feels on a matter that isn't spoken about. I'm very proud beyond words.
It was a difficult time, but in all of it, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. So I'd advise that whoever is going through this, they should talk about it and stay with the person and pray.
The book, The Weight of Air, Surviving the Invincible Storm, is available on Amazon. It seeks to break the stigma surrounding mental health and inspire hope and healing. Yomi Otaigbe, Channels Television News.
A former City Express Bank chairman, Dr. Samuel Adedoyin, has condemned the refuted recent publication of the Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation, NDIC, titled Failure of City Express Bank, calling it false, defamatory, and grossly misleading. In a statement issued by his legal representatives, Dr. Adedoyin accused the NDIC of representing a biased and incomplete narrative while deliberately concealing its own regulatory failures that led to the bank's closure. The statement points out it alleges strongly and insider trading. That regular examinations by both NDIC and the Central Bank of Nigeria never uncovered evidence of fraud or mismanagement. He argues that if any irregularities had gone undetected, the regulatory authorities themselves were complicit, describing the NDIC report as one-sided and vindicative. Adedoyin also affirmed that the bank's ownership structure was fully approved and known to the NDIC from the very first day. To company news now, 7 finalists have emerged from the first physical, regional and second round of MTN Polls Spelling Bee competition, which was held in Enugu State. The finalists will be competing for the grand prize of MTN CEO for a day. M Plus face for the year 5 million naira scholarship grant among other prizes. Well, according to the senior management and MTN Youth and Teen segment, Temilolu Salako, the competition has come to stay and the organization will continue to promote literacy among the young people.
Please keep it up, keep it up.
It's the 7th edition of the MTN Pulse Spelling Bee. And for the first time, the competition takes on a physical regional format, bringing together brilliant young spellers aged 9 to 15 on the MTN Pulse tariff plan. Students from across the Southeast and South-South regions have converged on the Enugu International Conference Center for the second stage of the contest, a thrilling test of vocabulary, confidence, and composure. As the MTN Youth and Teen Manager highlighted the importance of nurturing literacy and communication skills, the Bee Master shared tips and strategies to help the contestants spell their way to victory.
To all our contestants, remember that every letter you spell today represents discipline, focus, and determination. I'll give you another strategy. Your word is gum. You pronounce gum. G-U-M, gum. You can spell in the air. You can spell on your palm. Just to help you remember. Don't try to spell in a hurry. No.
One after another, the 20 young contestants who made it to the second stage took the spotlight, each giving their best shot at every challenging word.
Correct.
After a rigorous and exciting round, 7 outstanding spellers emerged, securing their spots in the grand finale to be held in Lagos, where they'll compete for the coveted prizes and the title of MTN Pulse Spelling Bee Champion.
The winner will also be able to be the MTN CEO of the day, and that is a good one. And also the winner will also be the MPulse face for the year.
Beaming with excitement, the finalists and their parents celebrated the milestone, cheering on other contestants to stay motivated and keep learning. MTN reaffirmed that the Spelling Bee competition has firmly come to stay, serving as a platform to inspire excellence and nurture young minds across Nigeria.
This win will encourage me to continue more and learn more about my spelling and my sounds.
This is the first time where we decided to come to the region to actually make this kind of impact, to show how we are scaling what we are doing. So for now, it's here to stay. So MTN is also here to reward them, as children, and then grow that inside.
For the first time, MTN is hosting a physical regional edition of its Spelling Bee competition, a move that has thrilled participants and supporters alike. Many are hopeful that this in-person format will continue, providing greater encouragement, connection, and visibility for young contestants across the country.
And in the world of sports, Yannick Sinner has won the Paris Masters for the first time after defeating Felix Auger-Aliassime 6-4, 7-6. The 24-year-old's maiden crown in Paris, coupled with incumbent world number one Carlos Alcaraz of Spain crashing out early in the tournament, will see Sinner return to the pinnacle of men's tennis when the ATP rankings are updated on Monday. The four-time Grand Slam champion first claimed the number one ranking in June last year and has held it for 65 weeks until he lost the US Open title match to Alcaraz in September. And West Ham came from behind to record its first home win of the season against Newcastle United at the London Stadium. Jacob Murphy gave Newcastle the lead in the 4 minutes, but goals from Lucas Thomas and his own goal from Botman gave the Hammers a well-deserved 3-1 win. And elsewhere, Manchester City beat Bournemouth 2-1 at the Etihad Stadium. Erling Haaland was back on the score sheet with 2 goals to help Pep Guardiola's side return to winning ways in the Premier League and leapfrog Bournemouth into second place. Away from sports, outside our shores, At least 21 people have been confirmed dead following a landslide in the western part of Kenya after a heavy rainfall. And according to the country's Interior Minister, Kipchumba Murkomen, the bodies of the dead have been transferred to the nearby airstrip. But he says that more than 30 people remain unaccounted for after being reported missing by their families, while 25 people with serious injuries have been airlifted to receive further medical attention. The Kenyan Red Cross, which is helping to coordinate rescue efforts, says the most affected areas are still not accessible by road due to mudslides and flash floods. The Kenyan government has paused the search and rescue operation on Saturday evening, but said it resumed today. The UK police have ruled out terrorism in the stabbing attack on board a Doncaster-London train that occurred on Saturday. 4 of the 9 people initially thought to have life-threatening injuries have been discharged, and 2 remain in a life-threatening condition. Police also say that 2 men, both British nationals, have been arrested on suspension of attempted murder. And the main news again. Presidential spokesman Daniel Bwala says that President Tinubu will soon meet with former U.S. President Donald Trump to address the alleged Christian genocide claims in Nigeria. A senior advocate of Nigeria, Wahab Shitu, has urged President Bola Tinubu and ruling elites to personally engage President Donald Trump with AU leaders diplomatically to prevent U.S. military action. And that's the news at 10 for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawado. Have a fruitful week ahead. Good night.